welcome to Faith on Film, a program, as I always say, designed to keep you aware and informed of everything that's happening in the world of faith and family films. Boy, do I have an interesting guest for you today, and you'll see why. I'm so glad you tuned in. Samuel Wickey was born Amish. He grew up speaking English along with the Amish language, which is mostly German. His family lived in the strictest Amish sect, where any form of artistic expression was forbidden and was perceived to be of the devil. Wickey had a unique ability to sculpt a remarkable level with no formal training. His sculpting terrified his family as they believed he was possessed. Wow. Wickey was asked by several people to write a book about his life experience. Instead, Wickey produced and directed a movie about his strange life experience as an Amish child called My Name is Sam, which has won multiple awards around the world. Wickey is now working on a book series after many fans requested to learn more about his unusual life experience. Sam, welcome to Faith on Film. How are you doing?
Good, Isaac. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so
man,
much.
I'm so excited to have you. Not only because your story is amazing, and I saw that in the movie you produced, but part of your situation is that you are OCD. Now,
yes,
I don't know exactly how that plays into all this, but I'm going to have you share a little bit about your childhood, your journey into ending up with this film.
Okay, well, what is I've been told by I actually eventually in life received some therapy. I saw a few therapists during my life to get me help with the OCD, and what I learned was that some of the traumatic events that happened as I was Amish, while I was Amish, led up to my disorder. I suddenly just snapped, and I had to go into like a survival mode. The Amish I came from really do not believe in hugging each other or talking to each other in any way, shape, or form. No kind of connection whatsoever.
Wow.
So my artistic mind, it was kind of like a perfect storm in my mind and in my life, which the perfect storm would be the fact that there was never any kind of communication, no saying everything's okay, and when all these fears are coming in, and then along with my imagination, where I was, because I had this unusual ability to sculpt because of my imagination, and my creative abilities were unusual. So while everything was so silent, my brain, my creativity took over. Wow. And that's basically what terrorized me was my what's going on here? What? So we had an event where we had a pig slaughter. I was only 6 years old, and they said I had to watch the pig slaughter, and that terrified me. And then what ended up happening is that I eventually began to believe that I was no different than the pigs. And that's what I was starting to deal with as a child. And the reason I'm explaining this is because this had a tremendous impact on me, to the point where I then suddenly had OCD on an extreme level. And then the fact that I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to be treated the same as the pigs, which I won't go into those details. That weighed on me. And then after we left the Amish, the OCD got worse because my parents were so confused about what to do, where to go to church, so we went church hopping, and the church hopping led to all kinds of other terror. I mean, because some of these churches had little booklets of the devil inside these booklets, throwing people into hell, and I would be looking at these little booklets going, oh goodness, this is what's going to happen to us. And so anyway, it was just that's part of some of the super strict religious parts of my life experience. But the Amish part, I guess I've kind of covered most of why the OCD came around.
Right.
With the fear and the no explaining, no comforting, so you're just kind of left there hanging in the dark. And then so my mind just took over and decided, okay, I've had enough. I can't do this. And then it was a way of protecting myself and others. The OCD was a way of protecting myself and others.
Wow. Now, I did see the film, and I noticed that one of the scenes in the film, you created this sculpture, and as a kid, and it wasn't like you took lessons in sculpting.
No.
You just kind of did this. That was your artistic self just kind of coming out and expressing itself. But that was looked upon as very bad, wasn't it?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I didn't have much dialogue in that scene
Mm-hmm.
but in real life, my mom, she asked me, "What are you making there?" And she I just said, I didn't know I was doing anything unusual. I thought I was just playing with clay. But they were just going, "What? How are you?" She didn't say, "Oh goodness, look, Father, we should get our son into art school," or it was like, "Oh dear, what's wrong with our son?"
Wow.
And so yeah, that's kind of how that went, with that's kind of that scene. I like the way I laid that scene out. It really shows. It looks mysterious, and it shows
Yeah.
the
Well,
the
I mean,
extreme. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't want to pick a fight with the Amish community.
I know it's hard.
But
I know.
but at the same time, I believe that God actually puts those talents, those artistic talents in us, because art
Yep.
is a very important tool in technically in reaching our culture. So we
Yep.
can use art. I
Yep.
mean, the devil is using art as a form of trying to get his message across and change our culture. But really, God is the one that created us with that ability.
Yes.
And I know with you, I mean, like I said, it wasn't like you learned it. It just came out. So God had definitely put that in.
Right.
And now, of course, He also has put the talent of acting and producing a film in you, hasn't He?
Yes. Yeah. I just simply, I decided one person finally convinced me to start writing a story, and I'll try to keep this the short version. But she looked at me in the eyes and said, "You need to write a story. You have to do that." And she said, "I am your messenger. You have to write the story." She literally said that to me. She looked kind of strange when she said that, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm going to finally go home and start writing." And then I did. I wrote literally over 1,000 pages of just.
Oh my
I
goodness.
spewed it all out. I just spewed it all out, and then I wrote like that for a few years, because I was just like, okay, I'm gonna write some more of the book. And then the next thing I know, in 2010, I decided this feeling came over me, and it said, just shoot a movie. I'm like, what? I don't know how to shoot. I don't. And then I was like, for a few months pondering, well, how do I shoot a movie? And then next thing I know, I'm buying all this equipment, and
Wow.
I have an eye for lighting and things like that naturally, because I mean, like on my website, most of those sculptures are lit up by myself. I lit them up and took pictures of them myself.
Right.
And so I decided, okay, I'm going to apply that skill to this because we need good lighting, we need good angles and things. So next thing I know, I'm on set setting up my camera and setting up my lighting, and then I decided, okay, I guess I'm going to play the role of the father, because I know the Amish language already. At first, I was looking for someone to play the role of the father, and then this bell went up and I said, "So you need to play the role of the father." And
Sure.
I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No. And then next thing I know, I'm thinking the list of reasons why I should came into my mind, and which was, how to speak the language. That's one less person you need to teach the Amish language. You have done a little bit of acting in the past. People have complimented you on that. Why don't you just go for it? Okay, I'm talking to myself here. So I'm having an argument with myself. So next thing I know, I'm the father, and I'm glad I did, because it was really a therapeutic experience.
Sure.
It was quite the experience to yeah. And then the next thing I know, I'm directing every scene, because I didn't decide I want to be a producer, I want to be a director, I want to be an actor. I didn't care about any of that. I just simply had to do what I had to do to make the story and the movie happen. The next thing I know, I'm doing the things that I have to do, and I was a little more involved myself than I thought I would be.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the sculpture, because I know that it's more than just that you did a sculpture then. I mean, you have become, how would I say it? Is it a sculptist? I don't even know how to say it, but you've done a lot of major work for some major organizations. So when we come back, we'll talk about that, all right?
Great.
Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Encourage TV. Family-friendly and faith-friendly content absolutely free. Subscribe today and watch hundreds of hours of content on our streaming channels. Visit encouragetv.com today.
Seriously, how big was it? I'm telling you, it's humongous. So it was bigger than a castle? Totally. And when you're there, there's so many cool things to do that you forget about time. No way. That only happens in one place. Go ahead. Think bigger.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are here with Sam Wickey, who really has just such an interesting story. Sam, so I mentioned earlier on the previous segment about your sculpting, and that really has become a major thing for you, hasn't it? Tell us a little bit about what's going on with that.
Well, the reason I started sculpting sculptures of athletes, and I was inspired by I was watching the Phoenix Suns playing, and Kevin Johnson was one of their biggest stars, and I saw this amazing play, and where he slam dunks it over a guy that's 7'2" and he's only 6'1", and so I'm like, wow, that. And so that was the talk of the town. I mean, it was like everybody was talking about that play, and then I just said, I got to make a sculpture of that. I didn't yet know for sure how well I could sculpt. I just started to get back into it. Or into it since I was a child. I just then. Right then, I said, I'm going to try sculpting because I think I kind of have a knack for that. And so I make the sculpture, and then I said this prayer for a connection to Kevin Johnson, and I kind of laughed at myself as I prayed. Hey, God, can you give me a connection with Kevin Johnson? I'd really like to sell him the sculpture, and I laughed. And I was like, And then the next day, literally the next day, someone knocks on my door, and I'm sculpting away, and it was a vacuum salesman, and he says, can I show you my vacuum? Sure, come on in. I normally would say, yeah, I don't think I'm going to buy that. But for some reason, I felt compelled to let him in. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And so he comes in the house, and he goes like this. Can I ask you what is that over there? And it was the sculpture Kevin Johnson. Oh, it's a sculpture I'm making of, did you see that play the other night of Kevin Johnson slam dunking over? And he says, yeah, that was amazing. Oh, you're making a sculpture of that? And I said, yeah, that's what that's going to be. Can I take a closer look at that? And sure, but he didn't. There weren't heads yet, and so anyway, long story short, he asked me, "Can you show me this when it's finished?" And I said, "Sure." You want to buy it? And he goes, "Well, I have a better idea." He goes, "My dad has a barbershop, and Kevin comes in once a week.
Oh my goodness!
To get his haircut." And I'm like, I looked at him. You're kidding me? And I looked up and went, it's like that was literally the next day after I said that prayer. What are the odds of that happening? And so that's literally what happened. He takes the sculpture. A news team comes in. That's the regulars in there. They see the sculpture, and next thing I know, they're knocking on my door for an interview. And then the Suns noticed, and just one thing led to another. Next thing I know, I'm on a nationally televised awards ceremony giving a bronze sculpture to Kevin Johnson and Tom Chambers on two different occasions on on a nationally televised awards ceremony. That's kind of the highlight of my sculpting career in sports. I just. Whenever I tell that story, I mean, I'm finishing the book right now about that's how that all happened. So that's kind of how I started the night. Next thing I know, I'm at the NFL Arizona Cardinals facility, and there's about 15 of the football players around my tailgate looking at a sculpture, and half of them are giving me their cell phone numbers because they want a sculpture. And so it just kind of took off in that way, just kind of overnight. Crazy thing.
Wow. Now, Had you stopped doing that though from that first time that you did it when you were a kid because of how? Yes. So you just kind of didn't do it at all for how many years?
Nope. Nobody encouraged me to. I just didn't think anything of it. I just was like, okay, whatever. I can put clay together. I didn't know it was anything. And my parents never. Sorry about that. I just suddenly got this urge. I was in a grocery store. I was just walking down the aisle and I saw a nut pick on the shelf, and this overwhelming thought came to me and said, "See that nut pick? See the shape of that nut pick? That is your sculpting tool. You can make sculptures with that." And I'm thinking to myself, what am I, crazy?
Wow.
And I bought the nut pick, and that's what I made all those sculptures that I just told you about. That's it. It has a little ball on one side and it has a little hook on the other, and it works perfectly. And I literally have tried other sculpting tools. I thought, well, I got to get some real sculpting tools, and I always ended up going, "Where's my nut pick? I want my nut pick back." So it's weird. It's really
Now, how can people see some of your work? Is there a website that they can go to and just take a look at what you do?
Yes, www.sambronze.com. I use the name bronze because I work mostly in bronze. I make clay models and then I bronze them. But it's www.sambronze.com. BRONZE.
Folks,
if you want to see.
You have to go see this because I did go to his website. That angel at the end of the movie, and then folks, you got to see the movie. But at the end of the movie, there's this beautiful angel sculpture, and my wife happened to walk in, and she was like, "What is that?" I mean, it's an amazing sculpture. Then you got to. You have a picture of that on your website, I imagine, right?
Yes, they're in there. That website was just. I'm actually. It's not complete yet. I'm still working on that website, but you can go in there now and look at. You can scroll down to the bottom and you'll see Kevin Johnson and Tom Chambers at the award ceremony, and I'm standing there with Kevin as well in another picture. So those are, and then it kind of explains that these are the nationally televised award ceremony sculptures. And then you can click on Sam Sculptures. You'll go into all these different NFL and NBA sculptures, and also the Angel series is in there as well.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk with you a little bit more, and let's talk a little bit about what's in the future. I mean, are you basically going to stay sculpting? Are you going to get more into filmmaking? I think I see a series. You said you wrote like 1,000 pages. I think I see a whole series about your life. I don't know. It could be interesting. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
YBL is an experience like none other. Whether you are thinking about a call into leadership and ministry or something else.
I would do it again in a heartbeat. I learned a lot about having self-confidence in myself as a leader. Even though we're teenagers, we still have the power and the capacity to change the world.
God can do amazing things in a very short amount of time. The material that we studied and the activities that we did really helped us to see that.
Going to YBL and hearing from professors that are my future professors and professors now, coming to Asbury is really like a continuation of what Youth Becoming Leaders was.
It was really important having a group of people my age who wanted to do what I wanted to do. We kind of end up as a family, which is the best thing I think about YBL.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are here with Sam Wickey. Sam, so we've learned a little bit about your Amish upbringing. We've learned a little bit about your sculpting. What else is in the future for you?
I right now, as far as filming goes, what I do have offering a reel service where people need acting reels, and I actually film those with my co-producer, and we write them. She writes them. I film them. I edit them, and so I'm doing that as far as producing goes. And then as far as people continually ask for a sequel, because they're so curious to know what happened after we left the Amish, and so I'm serious. I've got a lot of material ready for that sequel. I'm not sure yet when I'm going to shoot it, but I plan on shooting it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly when, but right now I just in the middle of producing a film. It's for a person. It's a true story. It's about a heroin addict that died, and his brother is in the film, and his brother asked me to help him bring this film to fruition. And so I decided to take that on with my co-producer. And right now that film is almost complete. And it's, like I said, a true story. But other than that, there's another movie that we have in mind to film, but it's just a matter of time and arranging things to where everything, works out best. But so I'm currently working on a film right now, but I just eventually want to shoot a sequel.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a more personal question now. Sure. I hope you don't mind. Is OCD something that you still continue to struggle with, or is it like that was in your past when you were a child and you're all over that? Where are you with that?
It comes and goes. I know how to manage it now. I sometimes have it down on a scale from 1 to 10. I have it down to a 2, and then there's times where it gets up there and like to a 6 or 7. I still deal with it, but I know how to. Like I said, I know how to manage it. It's more manageable, and it's all about not being afraid. It's all about overcoming fear, and those fears have a way of haunting that from the past. They have a way of haunting you, and it can be a real struggle sometimes to know what's true. Yeah. Is this fear an illusion, or is this fear a truth? Is this car really gonna, if you're in the middle of the road and a car's coming at you, that's a true fear. It's really gonna hit you. But if there's fears that we think are cars coming at us and they're not, and that's me anyway. I sometimes just can't tell what's true and what's not, as far as, is this fear real or is this fear not? And that's when I'm dealing with the OCD a little more, and battling it more. But so I manage it.
All right. Yeah. Well, it certainly hasn't stopped you from doing what you need to do anymore, has it?
No, I don't let it stop me. I do what I have to do. I started filming my film in 2010, and of course it took me longer because the scheduling all the actors and all the kids and everything, it took longer. But during that whole period, I was fighting the OCD as well, and it made making the film harder. I edited it. And editing is, if your OCD's up, editing is harder. It's weird that way. It's just it comes and goes. There's times where I am zero OCD and I'm like just working away, and then all of a sudden here it comes, and it just, wow, there it is.
Wow.
And it's like I have to now dodge the OCD, and then I go, no, okay, I'm not going to do this, and I will literally choose to stop doing the OCD even though it's telling me to do it. It just takes so much courage, and
well,
it can be overwhelming at times.
Well, we'll be praying for you. In fact, how can people write you? Do you have an email or something where people can reach out to you?
Yeah, it's samuelwickey@gmail.com.
Okay.
SamuelWickey@gmail.com.
Alrighty, folks. Shoot him a little note. Let him know that you're praying for him. Let him know that you're happy he's creating these films. And by the way, how can people watch that film?
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's not I Am Sam. It's My Name Is Sam.
My Name is Sam.
A lot of people have written, and they get that confused with Sean Penn's movie, which I like. But it's I Am. And of course, the title wasn't my idea, but I suddenly liked it, and then I went with it. So it's My Name Is Sam on Amazon Prime. And also, if you go to that website, www.sambronze.com, it's right there. You can just click it, and you're in there.
All right.
So
Well, thank you so much, Sam, for joining us today for this program and sharing, really such intimate stories of your growing up. Again, I look forward to seeing what else is to come from you. All right.
I appreciate that, Isaac. It's been a pleasure being on your show.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Encourage TV. Family-friendly and faith-friendly content absolutely free. Subscribe today and watch hundreds of hours of content on our streaming channels. Visit encouragetv.com today.
Dad? This is a lot of work. It might take us the entire weekend.
You think this is rough? Try building one of the most massive wooden ships in history without modern tools.
Go ahead. Think bigger.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. What an inspiring story by Sam Wickey. Want to invite you again to check out his website, sambronze.com, where you will find a lot of his beautiful sculptures that he does, and also a way to watch his movie, which, by the way, I loved. Also, as far as for me, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. That's at Faith on Film TV. And if you want to write me a little note, just write me at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out Parables, a place where you can watch a lot of wonderful content for your entire family. And it's free. You simply have to register. Just go to parables.tv. That's parables.tv. Well, until next week, take care.